Daniel, the US was angered recently by the support shown by various nations of the China-backed AIIB. Are these new latest developments a sign perhaps that the US is spitting its dummy a bit?
I think the U.S. is sort of reevaluating its position with respect to the AIIB. It came out looking a bit petty, looking like an aging starlet in the face of the emergence of some young, beautiful actress. The United States is one of the chief architects of the post-World War II global economic system. It's been a system that's worked pretty well. We've had relative peace and prosperity. China has benefited tremendously by partaking of those rules. And the United States has asked China, as it has become a more important economy, to be more of a responsible stakeholder. And China is trying to do so. It attempted to get the IMF and the World Bank to change its rules so that China could have greater say over the decisions. But the U.S. blocked that. The AIIB is the proper response of China. There are a lot of development needs in Asia. There should be competition. I mean, the World Bank and the IMF have a checkered record as far as I'm concerned. Why not have more alternatives for funding development projects? The United States needs to recognize that it shouldn't be making its traditional allies pick sides in a battle that seems to be somewhat imaginary. The United States and China engage very tightly in trade and investment, and it's not like this is the Cold War and it's the Soviet Union. This is a different setup. China has a lot to offer. Its growth we should embrace, and the United States should relent and consider joining the AIIB.
So US trade relations with China, I think frenemies might be a good description, and it has been for a long while. But how much would you say the two countries need each other?
There is a great deal of interdependence now. There's a couple $100 billion of cross-border investment stock, foreign direct investment stock. It's only growing. Obviously, China is the #1 foreign holder of U.S. government debt, and it wants to shift some of those resources into real assets, and we should be welcoming of that. We need investment in the United States. We are also interdependent with respect to global manufacturing. Lots of people want to portray the relationship in an us versus them context where we're competing with China in every industry and in every market, but in most industries, we are actually collaborating with China on the same supply chain. The Apple iPod and iPhone example has become somewhat iconic to demonstrate the interdependence. I mean, a statistic that is important is that about 50% of the value of U.S. imports from China is actually Chinese value added. The other half comes from other countries, including the United States. But with the Apple products, it's about 5% or 6% of the value added comes from China. Even though it costs $150 to produce an iPhone, it registers as an import from China, exacerbating the bilateral trade deficit, which is a political issue here in the United States. Only about $7 or $8 of that iPod is Chinese. But when we import it here in the United States, it supports jobs up and down the U.S. supply chain. It's retailed for $300, supporting innovation at Apple, logistics providers, retailers, advertisers. It has spawned new industries like these applications industries, these apps that you see on your iPhones, and accessories and things like that. So the relationship is more collaborative than it really is competitive in many industries. And we need to recognize we don't see eye to eye on every issue for sure, and there are certainly problems, but it's the problems that get picked up by the media and get highlighted because, if it bleeds, it leads. The cooperative aspect of the relationship is boring, but the fact is that characterizes most of it.